If you don't have endless hours to throw at your creative business, don't worry. You don't need more time to scale. You just need to think differently about the hours that you already have. In this video, I'm sharing 5 more powerful shifts that help you do exactly that in a way that actually feels lighter. These aren't fluffy tips, they're exact mindset and strategy changes that took me from winging it every single week to actually having a clear plan and purpose behind what I was doing. And if you missed part 1, definitely add it to your watch list. You don't need to watch these in order, but both videos together are full of the kind of insights that I wish I'd had when I was trying to grow my creative business without burning out. So grab a notebook or just watch and absorb, but stay with me till the end because I promise one of these tips will shift how you think about growth for good. And because I couldn't quite squeeze everything into these 5 points, I mean, I could talk about this stuff all day long. I've added a bonus tip right at the end. Okay, let's dive in. Stop asking, what should I make next? One of the easiest ways to get stuck in your creative business is by constantly chasing the next idea. You end up in this cycle where you're always asking yourself, what should I make next? Or what's trending right now? And it feels like you're always trying to keep up rather than put your time into improving something that you've already got that's already really great. When your default is to jump to the next thing, it's exhausting, even if the shiny thing fills you with excitement for the next few days. And when you can feel that happening, ask yourself this question: what do people already come to me for? And when you zoom out, you might notice that people aren't just buying a product, they're responding to something deeper. Maybe it's the feeling of calm they get from your work, or the way your words help them feel a little bit more understood. Maybe they see themselves in what you make. It might even be as simple as your content helping them make a decision or feeling part of something or just finding joy in the small things. Not every product or piece of content has to solve a big urgent problem. Sometimes it sells because it offers a sense of comfort or belonging, and that's still value, which is still demand. So rather than jumping into the next thing and trying to invent what people might want next, try paying closer attention to what they're already telling you, not just in their words, but in what they're buying, saving, responding to, or asking questions about. Scaling gets a lot easier when you're not guessing all the time, because the signs of what's working are usually already there. We just don't always slow down long enough to spot them. We're too quick to move on to the next thing. Build at least one boring product that sells quietly. You probably feel that everything you create in your business needs to be exciting. You're passionate about what you do, so of course you want to only share the stuff that has like a fresh concept or it's beautifully packaged and buzzworthy. But some of the best performing things that I've ever made are kind of boring. I've sold a paper pack that's generated thousands of pounds in sales over the past few years, a steady income stream, and it's a paper pack. And I'm not even talking about my beautifully textured paper packs that add depth and texture to your digital work. I'm talking about lined, dotted, and squared paper that you print off and put in notebooks. Boring, but a huge part of my income. They don't get loads of comments. They're not the thing that people rush to share or post about, but it solves a clear, simple need, and people know exactly what it is, why they need it, and how they'll use it. And they don't have to think too hard about buying it. Now, I'm not saying you should rush off and make this exact product. To be honest, there are loads of people selling this type of download on the marketplace, but I showed people how to use it in a YouTube video that I created 3 years ago, and it's still getting views today, which is driving sales. And that's why creating these sorts of boring products and pairing them with an evergreen, searchable piece of content is a really great strategy for growth. So that's what I mean when I say every creative business needs at least one, quote, boring product, because boring isn't a bad thing. It just often means that the value isn't obvious and there's a low friction between discovering it and deciding to buy. We often associate excitement with success. If it doesn't feel big or bold, it must not be working. But actually, the most scalable parts of a business are usually the ones that are very quietly consistent. So if you're always trying to create the next big thing, pause for a second and consider this. What could you offer that's really useful even if it's not that exciting? Because building a business that scales isn't about constant novelty. It's about having pieces that keep working in the background. And sometimes those products, the ones that don't need hype to sell, are the ones that give you the most freedom. Niche by who you serve, not what you sell. When we hear the word niche, most of us immediately think of a product, like what we're making. So you end up saying things like, I sell art prints, or I make illustrated stationery. And whilst that's technically true, it's not always the most helpful way to think about if you want your business to grow in a focused, scalable way. The problem with niching by product is that it limits your options. It makes it harder to know what to make next because every new idea has to somehow fit within a really narrow label. But when you flip that and start thinking about who you're creating for, the person on the other side of the purchase, everything starts to shift. It's no longer about being a print shop. It becomes a place where you create artwork for people with social anxiety and they want their space to feel calm and safe. That tiny change from product to person gives your business so much more room to grow. And once you know who you're talking to, it gets so much easier to figure out what to offer them. You can create multiple products for one audience instead of trying to make one product work for everyone. And if you want a deeper dive into niching down, go listen to episode 1 of my podcast, the Creative Juice podcast. I started this YouTube channel at around episode 30, I think, but if you only discovered me via this YouTube channel, then you won't know about the treasure trove of past episodes. Just search wherever you listen to podcasts, and the episode about niching down is the very first episode. So go listen to how cringy I sound. So instead of worrying that niching down will limit your creativity, think of it as making your decision-making easier. Niching doesn't narrow your options, and when you niche by person, your product ideas multiply. Treat marketing like an asset, not a daily obligation. One of the biggest mindset shifts I had to make when I wanted to grow my creative business was how I thought about marketing. So for the longest time, I treated it like a never-ending to-do list. Film, edit, post, email. It felt like something that I had to keep up with every single day or everything would stop working. And that gets exhausting really fast. When your marketing resets to 0 every morning, it starts to feel like you're constantly treading water and you'll always be showing up just to stay visible rather than building anything that lasts. But your content shouldn't just exist for the sake of being seen. It should actually do something. Great marketing guides people through a journey. It builds trust, answers questions, and removes hesitation. Sometimes it's the thing that helps someone make a choice that they were already leaning towards, or it gives them the clarity that they didn't know they needed. And when you create content with that kind of intention behind it, it doesn't just get views, it resonates with people. That's when your marketing becomes an asset, not just something that you post and forget, but something that continues to bring interest, sales, or connection long after you've created it. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes it's as simple as creating one really clear product video and putting it on the homepage of your shop, or turning your best performing email into an evergreen email sequence. You could repost your top performing content or repurpose it to a new platform. And even better, if you can make that content on an evergreen platform, you can create ranked videos or blogs or pins and let it compound over time. It doesn't expire, not quickly anyway, and that just stops you creating something that drains you, and it allows you to focus on creating the types of content that actually support you. Read your data before you change your strategy. When something isn't working the way that we hoped, the natural response is to change it. You might start thinking that you need a brand new product or a bigger presence on yet another platform. And whilst those ideas can sometimes help, they often come from a place of panic, not strategy. So what most creatives skip over in that moment is the step that matters the most, actually looking what's already there. Your data tells a story. It shows you how people interact with your shop, your content, and your products. Like, are they clicking but not buying? Are they spending time on certain pages and then bouncing off others? Are they adding things to their cart and then disappearing? These aren't just numbers, they're clues. And growing your creative business isn't about throwing mud at the wall to see what sticks. It's about stepping back, asking why something's behaving the way it is, and making small strategic adjustments based on what real people are doing. You don't need a new strategy every time you feel stuck. You need a better understanding of how the current one is actually performing. And when you stop guessing and start truly observing, growth becomes less of a mystery. All right, I promised you a bonus tip, and to be honest, I probably should have done this one first. That is, know your numbers. And before you click away, don't shy away from this. Ignorance is bliss, but it won't serve you long term. Now, it's not the fun, shiny part of business, but knowing where your income's coming from, what's generating sales, and what's actually costing you time and money with very little return is something you should be very aware of. When you understand your numbers, you stop trying to fix things that aren't broken or ignore the things that are. So getting to know your numbers, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable, is how you start making decisions with real intention. And that's where growth starts to feel a lot less like scrambling and more like building something that actually works. If you don't know where to start with this, I have made a free worksheet called the Creative Income Checkup. It helps you get a clear picture of what's working, what's worth improving, and where your energy is actually paying off. You can grab it from the description below and it'll instantly take the guesswork out of what to do next. And if you haven't watched part 1 yet, go watch it now. It's got 5 completely different tips and strategies that you don't want to miss. Just click this video to watch now.